Support for the Will Cain Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying a home for a moment. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a lot of anxiety with folks. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about that. They're calling it the power buying process. Here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then, once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, they'll lock your rate for up to 90 days while you shop. Now, here's the best part. If rates go up, your rate stays the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. Either way, you win. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/will. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data records. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
This is the Will Cain Podcast on ESPN Radio.
Play fake to Elliott. Time deep. There's a shot and a man. At the 30, the 25, the 20, the 5. A right turn for Austin. Tavon Austin. Touchdown Cowboys. 64 yards for number 10.
Woo! How about them Cowboys? Dallas is back. Texas is back. I'm back. Dak is back. And that call is courtesy of 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, Texas. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and on ESPN News. The Dallas Cowboys, a.k.a. America's team. Well, they're back, folks. Back in the great state of Texas, in the heartland of this United States of America, the Dallas Cowboys took down the evil empire of the New York Giants 20-13. It was a bigger whooping than 20-13. It was an absolute blowout on the scoreboard, or at least on the field, if not the scoreboard. Eli Manning could not stay upright, and I couldn't keep from smiling. You can give us a call, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Challenge accepted, Bubba. Thrown down, offered, and challenge accepted by one Dak Prescott.
I'll take it. Hey, 1-0 with the jersey. Coincidence?
Have you looked at the standings for the NFC East?
I believe I have, but why don't you remind everyone?
Have you seen who's in first place?
Should we ask Pat, our Eagles fan?
Let's go around the horn. Does everybody know who's in first place in the NFC East? I don't know. Srudy, have you seen the standings yet?
How many, what are we?
It's a yes or no question, please.
8 months into the show, 9 months into the show. I've never been more embarrassed.
Because you can't ascertain who's at the top of the standings, I can help you. Listen, reading comprehension that's
week
embarrassing
2,
you?
congrats. You beat one bad team.
Oh,
you're tied for first.
Look at you. Nuno.
There's a 3-way tie.
Nuno.
The Giants are in last.
Who's at the top of the standings? Who's in first place?
They're not a three-team tie?
There's one team that's 1-0 in division standings. That puts them at number 1.
Division play, baby.
All I have to say is
number 1 in your standings.
Enjoy this.
Number 1 in your heart.
I think it's pretty clear we are.
Because next week or the week after or the week after that,
the Dallas Cowboys are in first place, Bubba, to answer the question that everybody seems so reluctant to answer. The Dallas Cowboys are in first place in the NFC East after a week of, soul-searching and hair-pulling. The Dallas Cowboys emerged from week 2 in first place. Put down that phone. Put down the phone. Nuno, put down the phone. If you thought this was going to go unnoticed, if you thought you'd pulled something off, oh, you're mistaken, my friend. Oh, this is going to be a big one today. Anybody who's just joining us here on the Will Cain Show knows that I sometimes, on occasion, root for the Dallas Cowboys. And Nuno, our friend of the show, Rudy's running the show, Nuno's riding shotgun, and Bubba is running the board here. Nuno is a New York Giants fan. So on Friday when we left the show, we put down a friendly wager. We said, what's going to happen if you lose? What happens if I lose? What happens if you lose? And I took the challenge, just like Dak Prescott. I said, challenge accepted. And as far as I was concerned, I thought we had a gentleman's wager.
I said no. So
I thought we had a bet, my friend.
No, we didn't. I said no. How is that a bet?
When you do what you've done in the past couple of hours, you admit that there was a bet. Now, let me explain to everybody what happened here. Everybody at home.
First of all.
He said no, Will.
This is so embarrassing for you.
No, it's not, because you gave it away, by the way, because I caught you when I walked in. So go ahead and explain this, and no means no.
We have a leftover jar of gefilte fish, canned fish from our March Madness eating competition, and it's been sitting over here in our cubby for a good now 6-7 months. And the wager that was laid down, that was the loser would crack open the jar of gefilte fish, take a big hunkin' bite out of what's in there. And you weren't in the room, but you saw me hovering around the cubby, and I come in to do the show, and not only is the gefilte fish gone, but the jar of clam juice is gone as well.
Wow.
Someone must have cleaned up the studio. Have you seen it? It's a disaster.
I went and searched every locker in the locker room area. Every single one of them, which, by the way, is a travesty, and I want to take a picture of what goes on in those lockers. It's embarrassing. It's not in the lockers. Where did you hide the gefilte fish?
First of all, I didn't, and it's still actually very close to you.
What is this? We're gonna play hot and cold?
No, I might have put it behind something that might be on the floor. There's like a board or something on the floor. It's right behind
good.
it.
Good. Okay, good. So very manly of you to fess
Making
up.
progress.
Making progress. So you'll be eating the gefilte fish. You'll be taking a bite.
No. No.
You're a man. You can't do that. That would be embarrassing for you. You cannot welch on a bet.
I didn't bet.
I
said no.
20-13.
How about this? I have a proposal.
What?
He doesn't have to eat the gefilte fish. What if you just did a shot of the juice in the can, in the jar? That's not that bad, right? You just, plug your nose, throw it back. You'll be all right.
I'm not sure I'm willing to give him that out.
It's kind of funny that you're talking about giving me an out where there was no bet.
Oh, my God. This is so weak.
I was just talking to our friend Lawrence O'Donnell. He had some comments about Nuno.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
That's right, Lawrence.
I agree.
Totally.
Out of control.
Somebody in that control room.
No integrity.
Not over here and not over there, but over there.
Over there.
Yes, America, I am a fraud.
All right.
Cut that.
So, relax, everybody. We're going to be talking about the amazing, the stupidly good, the next generation of great quarterback in the NFL. We're going to be talking about Patrick Mahomes. We're going to be talking about Antonio Brown and the wide receivers that are available on the market. Before an hour goes up on this show, within the next hour, by 4 p.m. Eastern time, we should have some decision on what the Browns are going to do with Josh Gordon. At the same time, Antonio Brown's out here tweeting, trade me. Trade me, Steelers. See what happens. I'll give you more on that story. But first, a little more on this Cowboys-Giants victory. It's Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Home Insurance. Getting a quote is easier than ever. I have 3 observations I want to share with you on the Dallas Cowboys victory over the New York Giants last night. First of all, number one, it's true. The offense was not lights out. The offense was not Kansas City Chiefs, and Dak Prescott was not Patrick Mahomes. And so I can come into the office today and deal with the petty ugliness of guys like Cerruti and Nuno, who all they had to say when I walked in was, dude, your team's not very good. I mean, that's great you got a W, but Dak's terrible. That's literally Cerruti's words. But here's what I'm here to tell you about the offense. You saw the hints. You saw something in there to build from Linehan and Prescott. You saw designed runs. You saw zone read. You saw RPO, the famous RPOs that Chris Collinsworth likes talking about. You saw deep passes. There's something there for the Dallas Cowboys offense to build upon. Number 2, the defense is absolutely amazing. That is a good defense. By the way, the Giants defense is pretty good itself. The Cowboys defense is top 10, possibly top 5 in the NFL this year. That defense is amazing. And number 3, there are weapons needed and there are weapons available. From Josh Gordon to Dez Bryant to, oh my gosh, I guess it's Bryce Butler. There are receivers to be had and the Dallas Cowboys should be on it. I'll be going into all of this in more detail throughout the show, including getting into Antonio Brown, Josh Gordon, and I got to be honest, the first quarterback in a while that's made me feel something in funny parts of my body. Patrick Mahomes is the future of the AFC. That's next on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Guys, let's be real. When you look good, you feel good. At the JCPenney wardrobe sale, you can get 50% off select men's suits, separate sport coats, dress pants, and accessories. Plus, select dress shirts, buy one, get one free. Raise your game with Collection by Michael Strahan. All the right looks to take your style to the next level. Also, save an extra 20% off with your JCPenney credit card and coupon, or extra 15% off with any other method of payment. Hurry in. JCPenney. Style and value for all. Pricing and coupon valid 9/13 and 9/23. Credit offer subject to credit approval. Some exclusions and restrictions apply. See store at jcp.com for coupon and details.
Time ran out, no flag, and he's sacked, and the ball is loose, and the Cowboys are out of fumble at the giant 27-yard line, and it's Taco Charlton with the ball. Damian Wilson, who got in and got the sack and forced the fumble.
I joke, I kid. I tell you, Texas is back, the Cowboys back, Dak's back, and I'm back. But you'll know the truth. You'll know what's back. That doomsday defense in Dallas. That's back. Eli Manning went on the ground 6 times. The New York Giants went down 20-13 to the Dallas Cowboys. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and on ESPN News. You can give me a call at 888-729-3776. But it's time for Straight Talk. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. I don't mean to be flippant about this, and I don't mean to be overly, sensual. But there are only so many athletes out there that can make you feel something with their play. I'm talking about all the way down to your core, down in your loins. When Pat Mahomes throws the ball, if you don't feel fluttery, if you don't feel like flirting, you don't like football. Pat Mahomes is ridiculous. He's stupid good. And I don't care who wants to come at me and say, 2 games, 3 starts, bro. Can we just tap the brakes on the hype train? There you were last week proclaiming the greatness of Sam Darnold. How'd that go? Why are you tap the brakes on Deshaun Watson, Jimmy Garoppolo, but you hit the gas pedal with Pat Mahomes and Sam Darnold? Let me tell you something. When you watch Sam Darnold play, if you don't see it, I don't know what you can see, because this guy has it. And I'll be honest, I wasn't sold from the beginning. Yeah, we all knew Pat Mahomes would be able to throw the ball. But after yesterday, after absolutely lighting up the Pittsburgh Steelers with 6 touchdowns, 326 yards, he's got 10 touchdowns over the last 2 games. Do you know how many people have 10 touchdowns over the first 2 games of the season? 4. And the other 3 names are legendary. Charlie Johnson from way back in the days of the Phoenix Cardinals. Hell, was it the Chicago Cardinals when Charlie Johnson did his thing? Peyton Manning and Drew Brees. That's the company that Pat Mahomes now shares. And once again, you have to see the how, not just the what. Pat Mahomes throws 20-yard seams to the tight end. He throws it right in between, down the line, down the out-of-bounds line, down the sideline, between the safety and the cornerback, and he's hitting receivers on the sideline, tight ends like Kelsey down the middle. He's hitting them on 20-yard passes the way other quarterbacks complete 6, 7-yard passes. I mean, they are just with ease on a rope. And I thought, yeah, like everybody, Pat Mahomes, he has a cannon. But you know what? There's going to be some chicken with his head cut off play out there. He's going to be running around Sandlot, mini Aaron Rodgers style of play. I did not expect this. I did not expect to see a person so in command, reading defenses, pre-snap, post-snap, calm, confident, leading a team in a tight game. Because the Steelers actually put a comeback on after Kansas City jumped out 21-0 yesterday in the first quarter. This team, led by Pat Mahomes, it has no defense, but it has an offense like the 2000 Los Angeles Rams. I'm sorry, at that time it was the St. Louis Rams. This team is going to score a ton of points. The only question is, can they stop enough people to compete? Now, that's a question for this year. But here's a question for you for the next 3 years. After the New England Patriots run starts to curtail, after it starts to level off, and I'm not even talking about Tom Brady's play because I think you got years left of that, but as the talent base around him starts to become depleted, who rises up? I think in the short term, the answer is the Los Angeles Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I'm talking about beyond that. I'm talking about 3 years from now. Who will be leading the AFC to championship games? Who will be leading the AFC into the Super Bowl? Because I'm here to tell you, I think the answer is Pat Mahomes with the Kansas City Chiefs and Sam Darnold with the New York Jets. Here's Ryan Clark, ESPN analyst, NFL analyst on Pat Mahomes.
Hell yeah, he gonna break the record. He is going to throw for more than 55 touchdowns. He is going to keep getting better. There will be those touch passes to Tyreek Hill where he scores touchdowns. You will throw screens like we've seen Travis Kelce do many times, Tyreek Hill do many times. He has playmakers all around him to put on top of his amazing talent.
That's Ryan Clark saying he'll break Peyton Manning's single-season touchdown record. I'm telling you, I know it's early. I know you want to tap the brakes. Cerruito, you're a tap the brakes guy. I'm Pat Mahomes. You're a slow down, hype train, Jimmy Garoppolo, Deshaun Watson, be consistent guy. Tap the brakes on Pat Mahomes.
I'm more of a tap the brakes on the love for Dak today. I think Mahomes is going to be awesome. I don't think he's going to be, I'm not ready to say he's going to be the best quarterback in the league like in a couple years yet. I think he's great. I think the Chiefs should be thrilled. That's a bad Steelers defense. I mean, a really bad Steelers defense.
That is true, but that is a good Kansas City quarterback. And my statement about Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs 3 years from now is as much about that conference as it is about Pat Mahomes. I mean, who rises up with the Patriots? If the Patriots fade away, and you got to assume sooner or later that's going to happen, who's primed? We did this a couple weeks ago. We said, whose window is beginning to open in the AFC? We said there's like 5 teams in the NFC you can point to and say their window for a championship is opening and getting larger. And we had trouble identifying any in the AFC. And I would tell you right now, although none of these teams' window is now, within the next 3 years, you can project out that the Chiefs, I think within 3 years, the Jets will be in that conversation. And I'm going to tell you what else. Within 3 years, the Browns will be in that conversation with Baker Mayfield. 3 years out, more growth. I think all 3 of those teams have their quarterback. That's Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Robert from Georgia, you're on the Will Cain Show.
Hey, Will, I'm not from Georgia, but I'm from Norman, Oklahoma. Longhorn hater since '79.
Well, hold on. Just time out real quick, Robert. Let's just point out. Hold on, Robert, real quick. Okay, let's just point out another one of your failures today, Nuno. You hid the gefilte fish. Your Giants lost. It's been a rough 12 hours because Robert's not from Georgia. He's from Oklahoma.
That is correct. I'm from Norman, by the way.
See,
where are you physically located right now?
I'm a truck driver driving. I'm getting ready to actually go through Atlanta illegally because I'm supposed to go around the loop. But
all right,
I don't have time for all that crap.
Technicality. You should have said is in Georgia, not from Georgia. Go ahead, Robert. I agree. You don't have time for Nuno's crap. Go.
That is correct. Listen, Will, the Cowboys are not back. We all know that the Giants' O-line is the garbage, basically. So, as a Cowboy hater, listen to me and listen to me well. They're not back. The Cowboys are going to go 10-6. They're going to have 10 arrests, 6 convictions. But that's another story.
You're right. Anyway, Robert,
what?
Keep that thing between the ditches. You know what? You know what I feel good about, Bubba? 10-6. I do feel good about 10-6.
I'll take 10-6.
I think it's going to be 10-6. I went through the schedule. I'm torn. 15-1 or 10-6.
Yeah, we should do that. We should go through every game and say win-loss. And just go through every game. Yeah, probably.
Want to do that next?
I think that's.
I will walk off this show.
No, you're eating gefilte fish. Then you can walk.
Loss.
We'll have to use the dump button.
You're eating gefilte fish next.
That's a win.
No, slow it down, bub. We need to go into each game a little more.
Yeah, no, we'll get
I'll tell you what, let's bring in Jeff Saturday. He'll do that with his 16 games, 14 more. That, or I promise.
Not really, though.
Not really. We'll talk about Pat Mahomes. We're also going to talk about the fact that Josh Gordon, according to some early reports, might have a new team. You're going to want to hear the name of this potential employer already for Josh Gordon. It's big time. Next on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Did you know ADT can design and install a smart home just for you? A new smart home at your service, customized for your lifestyle. ADT professionals can even show you how to use your new smart home features. Now, that's what I call warm-up service. It's all controlled from the ADT app or the sound of your voice and backed by 24/7 protection. Visit ADT.com/smart to learn more about how ADT can help keep your home safe and smart.
3rd and 2, handoff Elliott trying to get up the middle. He's still got it. He bangs across the goal line. Touchdown. Zeke Elliott walked the dog. Touchdown Cowboys with 5:45 to play.
That's a win for the Cowboys, and that's a loss for Nuno, who will be eating gefilte fish within the next 2.5 hours. That should be coming your way at any moment. That call, also courtesy of 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, Texas. Joining us now to talk a little football, Super Bowl champion and ESPN NFL analyst Jeff Saturday on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. What's up, my man?
Living the dream. I can't be as good as you, though. I'm hearing all this Cowboy stuff out of you. So I know you're on a different cloud than everybody else, brother.
W, baby. W. We're back. I heard you this morning. I heard you're not that impressed. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it with you. Let's skip the Cowboy game because I already know what you're going to say. You don't like it. You didn't see much. You thought the Giants' offensive line was terrible. I mean, I'm talking about Tank Lawrence here, Jeff. I'm talking about Lawrence and Crawford. This defense is something else. It's out of sight.
Taco, all of it. All of
right.
It for you today, baby. I feel you.
All right, let's talk about the rest of the NFL with Super Bowl champion Jeff Saturday here on the Will Cain Show. I want to ask you this, man. Ryan Fitzpatrick now is up to 4 touchdown passes of over 50 yards. Okay, 2 games in the season. He's got 2 over 75 yards. Obviously, he's got the Bucs rolling, including beating the defending world champion Philadelphia Eagles this past weekend. Do you think the Bucs can easily move on from him and go back to their supposed franchise quarterback in Jameis Winston, or they have to ride the hot hand? What do they do here in a week or two?
No, I think you stay with Fitzpatrick. I think in my opinion, you go with Fitzpatrick until you can't anymore, and that's not one game either. I mean, that would have to be something that he would show me throughout. I mean, when the first thing went down with Winston, everybody's thinking, oh, they're going to be an 0-3 team. You know, they got the Saints, they got Philly. You know, there's just no way they can come out of this. They'll be 0-3. You know, Fitzmagic can't carry him anywhere. And the reality is he has gelled really quickly with this football team, and he has formidable weapons throughout, whether that be Deshaun Jackson and the speed, Evans, whether it be Howard. I mean, you keep naming it. And by the way, they don't get enough credit, the Bucs, for revamping an offensive line that's doing a pretty good job. And so as you look at it from the offensive perspective, is why would you break that? You know, Winston's not practicing with the team. He's not in there. He's not getting the reps. I don't care what anybody says. When you come back, it's going to take you time to get back in it. Now, for me personally, after everything that's happened with Winston, I would have moved on anyway. So, you know, I'm just being full disclosure here. You know, now that they've allowed him to come back, maybe there is a point where, as a franchise, you want to have him back in the mix. In my opinion, you ride with Fitzpatrick until Jeff, you can't anymore.
Wouldn't the argument for Winston be this? It's got to be from an ownership perspective. It's got to be from a team management perspective. And the argument would be this. We got to find out, man. We got to find out if Jameis is the guy that we're going to ride on to into the future, give him a big contract, and we can't find that out if Fitzpatrick's on the field and Jameis is on the bench.
What is he? Here's my thing. What he's shown you. What else you got to see, man? I mean, that's my whole point. He's already shown you he can't handle himself off the field. He hasn't been anything spectacular on the field. I'm not really sure. Like, what else do you got to see? I mean, I hear that argument. I hear from an ownership perspective, is he the guy? He's already shown you. I mean, listen. You look at Deshaun Jackson last year. You look at with Evans. He had the same thing. So. You were seeing what Fitzpatrick is doing with all those things that he has around him. And by the way, I understand he's playing free, and people have compared it to when, you know, it was supposed to be Geno Smith's job in New York, and he had his best year. Maybe it is, but I'm riding that all the way. I'm not going to change it.
Okay, hold on. I like this little debate we've got going here, because the truth of the matter is, talking to Jeff Saturday here on the Will Cain Show, the truth of the matter is, it's not a debate between Fitzpatrick and Winston. It's a debate between Winston and being back in the quarterback market. Because Fitzpatrick, as great as he is, he's not going to be your quarterback of the future. We talk about knowing what somebody is. We know what Fitzpatrick is, right? That's just, he's not finding himself at age 37. He's going to come to earth at some point. So if you're moving on, like you have honestly told us you would, what you're saying is, I'm choosing an unknown future over Jameis. Fair?
Fair. Correct. Yeah. And I think you had opportunities, you know, in the draft this year, but you'll have more opportunities next year. I don't think, in my opinion, that he has earned the next big contract. Now, and like you said, this goes back to completely ownership, head coach, and general manager. If you sat down with Jameis and you say, hey, he's completely changed as a man, right? He's gonna conduct himself the way a Buccaneer should. He's gonna carry himself this way. You know, we're fully supportive of of what he's done. He's changed. He's done all these things. Still, do you look at him and say, he's the guy who's going to carry us to a Super Bowl? Because last time I checked, that's what we're all in for.
Right.
And has he shown you that he is going to carry this team to a championship or not? And in my opinion, he has not shown that. He hasn't shown me that he is the guy that's going to carry it. Now, a lot of that, in my opinion, goes to off the field for me. So
right.
if he can sell you on the other side, maybe you decide, hey, we got to see. I'm not a guy that's all about the future. I'm a guy for now. This locker room is going to change, right? The attrition rate in the NFL is 33%. So you're going to turn that team over. 33% of that team is going to change next year. It's not going to be the same. More guys are going to have wear and tear on their bodies. All of that happens. I think from my perspective, it's you got to decide if he's the guy you want representing your franchise. If it's yes, maybe you give it a go, but knowing that you're probably forsaking this season.
Well, my favorite argument that you made right there, talking to Jeff Saturday on the Will Cain Show, is he going to be a guy that leads you to the Super Bowl? Because
that's right.
There's a lot of teams, by the way, and that applies to a lot of teams, Jeff. I feel like there's a lot of teams who have quarterbacks who are good enough to be average to above average. And so when you're making $100 million decisions, and maybe decisions about guys who have off-the-field problems, you need to be pretty hard on yourself about, we can't settle for above average. We got to settle for Super Bowl or not. And if he's not a Super Bowl, move on and roll the dice one more time. I want to ask you one more thing. I've got like 30 seconds a minute. You ever had a teammate quit like Vontae Davis? Vontae Davis, Buffalo Bill, cornerback, quits halftime, retires at halftime, quits his team.
Unbelievable, man. No, I've never had anything like that, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Again, I read the thing, he was worried about himself. He didn't feel like, what about the other guys, man? What about the guys that didn't get practice reps or whose job you took when you made the team or who now has to take your reps after halftime, not having anything going, and what you're putting his body, the risk you're putting his body in, because now he's got to play special teams, corner or safety, or pick somebody else's job up because you decide, hey, nah, it's just not for me. I mean, if you want to retire, today will be the day to retire, man. You don't do that at halftime. You don't work all week and and put everybody else in a position where we have to overcome you without an injury. If it's you're injured, you decide it, I'm with it. Not like this, man.
Totally agree.
Completely wrong.
Selfish. Really selfish. Totally agree. All right, Jeff. Appreciate your time today, man. As always, love having you on.
Appreciate you, brother. Y'all be good.
All right, Super Bowl champion and ESPN NFL analyst Jeff Saturday here on the Will Cain Show. All right, coming up, we should be figuring out where Josh Gordon is going to sign any minute now. Is he worth the risk? We have some teams it looks like it's narrowing down to next in the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. By the way, give me a call. Hang out. Join the conversation. It's a rough day for anybody that wants to give it to me, but you can try. 888-729-3776. Before we get to Josh Gordon news, let's do this. Tony from Ohio, you've ventured into the show. What do you have for me, Tony?
Hey, Will, big fan. Thanks for answering my call. Dallas Cowboys ain't back. I think you guys have been saying that for the last 7 to 8 years.
Well, one of those, they were 13-3.
Okay.
Defense is okay. Tony.
Okay, yes, sir.
Did you watch?
I watched. What did they do against Carolina? 3 sacks, maybe 2 sacks?
Let's look that up. I believe they had quite a few sacks.
Almost 300 passing yards, and your quarterback can't even pass for 200?
I thought we were talking about the defense.
Well, we're going all the way through the Cowboys, sir.
Let me tell you something, Tony. That defense, it's for real. Now, I was early, and I was right. And I will ride this one to all the way down to Right Town, to Victory Town, way downtown. My town, Willtown. That Cowboys defense is going to be coming. By the way, they did this without David Irving, without Xavier Woods, without Datone Jones, and without, come on now, give it to me, guys. Who's that other one? Oh, yeah. Say it with me. Can you say it with me?
No, you say it.
Randy Gregory. Remember?
Killed it last night, huh?
He didn't play.
I know. Thanks for explaining.
And they still put Eli on the ground 6 times. Defense.
Just imagine what he'll do when he's back.
I mean, do you think it would have been 12 sacks?
I mean, we're going to have to get a Gregory jersey going at that point.
Yeah.
For Nuno.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty
Hey, side note,
good.
We had a great Eli face last night.
Oh, my gosh. We had legendary Eli face. We had redefined the genre Eli face.
It wasn't quite the first one. That was unbelievable.
I don't know. To me, this might have bumped Peyton off the gold medal stand of the faces Olympics. That one, there was a series of them. He looked like, Mama, take me home. No more football. Mama, I'm ready to come home. His face, I never seen, like, just his eyes so wide and his mouth so scared. You saw it, right, Nuno? You saw that? Was that right about the time you go, Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold. How many yards did Saquon have last night? I can't remember. Running.
Almost as many as you and I did, and we didn't play.
That's correct. That's correct. Talk about that Cowboys defense, Tony. You hear that? Saquon Barkley, nothing. Will Cain Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. Remember, you can watch all 3 hours of the show on ESPN News. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network is saying that the New England Patriots look to be getting close to a deal for Browns wide receiver Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon, of course, is the incredibly talented wide receiver from Cleveland, had an amazing year at the age of, I believe, 22 in 2013. He's been in and out, rarely somebody that can be counted on for the Cleveland Browns. And something, we do not yet know what, occurred apparently in the past week that had the Cleveland Browns deciding it's time to part ways with Josh Gordon. Now, there's a lot of teams out there that can use a wide receiver. There is, of course, the New England Patriots. There's the Dallas Cowboys, who need a receiver terribly. There's the San Francisco 49ers, and early reports were that Josh Gordon was interested in the Dallas Cowboys or the San Francisco 49ers. That dates back to his relationship with Kyle Shanahan when he worked with the Browns. Kyle Shanahan, now head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. The Seattle Seahawks. Doug Baldwin's been injured, fighting an injury. The Seattle Seahawks could use a deep threat. Now, the question is, can you count on Josh Gordon? One more failed drug test, and he's banned. He's out. He's out of the league. But I'll tell you this, and I'm curious, Cerruti, you're a Niner fan. I'm curious about this from any fan base. Are you in? Are you in on the risk-reward? Because I am. If the Cowboys sign Josh Gordon, they'd be mocked, and of course that's where he ends up, and oh my gosh, like the caller earlier, there'll be 10-6, 10 arrests, and 6 convictions. That's what, man, I'm all about the risk-reward. I am all about if you can find value. And Josh Gordon is value and risk-reward at an absolute need for the Cowboys. If you can bring somebody like that in, and it does pay off, and I acknowledge the risk side of it, there's a better than likely chance that Josh Gordon pays off 0 for you. But if you're giving up nothing or a 6th or 7th round pick, yes.
I was going to say, what is the risk?
Whatever you'd give up and the PR disaster of your... You know, like everybody likes to say about the Cowboys. They probably wouldn't say about the Niners because in the least recent history, you don't have a track record of sign. I mean, I'm trying to think. You had Aldon Smith, and you don't have the branding problem that people like to put on a Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. Although a lot of teams do this stuff.
Patriots do it all the time.
All the time.
Honestly, it'll probably work out for them if they do end up getting him.
Patriot, you're right, exactly right. This is exactly a Patriots move. And by the way, Tom Brady to Josh Gordon, count me in. I want that if I'm in the market. Joe from Florida, you're on the Will Cain Show, Joe. Got to go quick, bud.
Okay. The defense of Dallas made the offense look okay. I mean, come on now. Really? You're going with the defense of Dallas, not Jacksonville, not Philly.
I didn't say number 1 in the league. I said top 5, top 10.
5.
I said
okay,
10, maybe 5.
10. Well, no way, top 5.
Well, you just named.
Come on now.
You only named 3 teams: Jacksonville, Philly, Minnesota. Then what? Dallas. See?
Nah.
That's all you got, Joe. Thanks for the call. Coming up, are the Steelers falling apart on and off the field? Antonio Brown tweeted something just in the past couple hours that's making people think Mike Tomlin might be losing that locker room. Speaking of available receivers, by the way, Josh Gordon, Dez Bryant, Ace Butler, I guess. Antonio Brown said something about being traded.
Thank you for listening to the Will Cain Podcast. You can listen to the Will Cain Show live weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. The Will Cain Podcast.
Guys, let's be real. When you look good, you feel good. At the JCPenney wardrobe sale, you can get 50% off select men's suits, separate sport coats, dress pants, and accessories. Plus, select dress shirts, buy one, get one free. Raise your game with Collection by Michael Strahan. All the right looks to take your style to the next level. Also, save an extra 20% off with your JCPenney credit card and coupon, or extra 15% off with any other method of payment. Hurry in. JCPenney. Style and value for all. Pricing and coupon valid 9/13 and 9/23. Credit offer subject to credit approval. Some exclusions and restrictions apply. See store at jcp.com for coupon and details.
Support for the Will Cain Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying a home for a moment. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a lot of anxiety with folks. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about that. They're calling it the power buying process. Here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then, once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, they'll lock your rate for up to 90 days while you shop. Now, here's the best part. If rates go up, your rate stays the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. Either way, you win. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/will. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data records. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS-ConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
This is the Will Cain Podcast on ESPN Radio.
Play fake to Elliott. Time deep. There's a shot and a man. At the 30, the 25, the 20, the 5. A right turn for Austin. Tavon Austin. Touchdown Cowboys. 64 yards for number 10.
That's the call on 105.3 The Fan by the great voice of Brad Sham, the voice of the Dallas Cowboys, as they announced their arrival at the top of the NFC East division standings, 1-1 for the Dallas Cowboys as they took down the New York Giants. But over across the pond, across the way, in the AFC, things look to be falling apart for the Pittsburgh Steelers, both on and off the field. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and on ESPN News. Give me a call, join the conversation, 888-729-3776. We're going to get to whether or not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should ride the hot hand of Ryan Fitzpatrick or move back to Jameis Winston when he's available in a few weeks. We're going to talk about the greatest young quarterback since sliced bread, Pat Mahomes, and the arrival of the Dallas Cowboys on the 2018 scene. But what's going on in Pittsburgh? Yesterday, the Steelers lost to the Kansas City Chiefs 42-37. The defense was the problem for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the offense, or at least the players on offense and their head coach, could be the ones that end up in the news once again and the cause of the real problems in Pittsburgh. It's getting to be the 11th hour for Mike Tomlin. It's getting to be the end for him if he can't get control of what's going on with this team. Yesterday, Antonio Brown had another yelling match, this time with offensive coordinator Randy Fitchner on the sidelines of the Pittsburgh Steelers game, seemingly over the number of targets that Brown had. Yesterday, Juju Smith-Schuster went 13 catches for, 138 yards and a touchdown. By the way, Jesse James had more as well, 5 catches for 138 yards and a touchdown. Antonio Brown had 9 for 67. And Antonio Brown was not happy about it. But this reminds you, Brown threw a tantrum last season. Do you guys remember that? He's done it a couple times on the sideline where he's blown up on the offensive staff or offensive teammates. Last season he did that, and we had Ryan Clark in here talking to me and Ryan Russillo at the time, and we talked about, remember what Ryan said? Ryan was a former Pittsburgh Steeler. This is what he said about Antonio Brown a year ago.
Antonio has done an extremely good job of tricking people, right? He has that smile, and when he talks, he seems, extremely team, and this is a great team guy, and he always shows up to play. He didn't hold out, last year to get his money. So he's done a very good spin job of having us think, or making people think who don't know him, that like it's all about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm just a hard worker who's here to win football games. Nah, Antonio Brown loves Antonio Brown.
And I'll tell you what, that's Ryan Clark from a year ago on the Russillo show. I'll tell you what, there are people talking today about whether or not Antonio Brown would get his numbers. He'd rather get his stats, his catches, his touchdowns, his yards than the Steelers get a win. And then take all of that, take that selfishness, take that tantrum on the sidelines, and then add to it this from today. A guy named Ryan Scarpino tweets out, AB needs to thank his lucky stars because he was drafted by a team that had Ben. And Ben got AB paid. You know darn well he wouldn't put up those numbers for other teams. Well, Antonio Brown sees this tweet, tweets it, and then responds, trade me. Let's find out. Now, if that's just a fan that Antonio Brown's going back and forth with, it's my least favorite analysis. It's a bad look. I mean, look, man, it's just you can't say, let me out of my current employment and expect to be on good terms with your employer. Not if you want to stick around. I mean, take it your job. Take it my job. Well, you know, if you didn't have an ESPN platform, you wouldn't. And I tweet out, yeah, well, tie me to Fox and see what ratings I pull there too. I mean, that wouldn't go over well. How does this trade me and let's find out? But wait, okay? Just as that it isn't enough, Ryan Scarpino, the guy he's responding to, that guy worked for the Steelers for 7 years in PR. This isn't Antonio Brown just going back at any fan. This isn't him just giving a bad look. This is Antonio Brown telling a guy who worked for the team, who you might think knows some things about the inner workings of that team, or at least the messaging when it comes to that team, or knows some rumors or reputations, telling somebody like that, trade me. Let's find out. None of it adds up to Antonio Brown being about the Pittsburgh Steelers. All of it adds up to Antonio Brown being about Antonio Brown. What's up, Cerruti?
Let me just play devil's advocate. What if it's just him saying, he's being confident, saying, hey, all right, cool, I'll prove it, trade me. Like, he doesn't actually want to be traded. He's just being confident.
Dude, come on. It's Twitter. And you don't have to be confident on Twitter. You don't have to come back and say something. Can you give me this? At a minimum, that's a really bad look. At a maximum. That's insulting your current employer and insinuating that you're not happy in your current situation. And by the way, on the heels of blowing up on the sidelines, don't sell me that confident stuff. What are you talking about? Now I think about it, get out of here with that. It's just him being confident with former PR executive for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, that's what that is. So, take this Antonio Brown situation. Add to it the chirping and the back talk and the talking out of school by the Pittsburgh Steelers when it comes to Le'Veon Bell. Breaking codes and norms that every former player said, I can't believe the things that Marquise Pouncey and Foster and who else, DeCastro, are saying about Le'Veon Bell and his money. Add to it that. Okay, then I got a third. Add to it this. What is Le'Veon Bell doing? Week in and week out. I saw Russillo, speaking of Russillo, tweet this yesterday. You're either in or you're out, man. He's not holding out for more money. He's not negotiating with his absence. He's either preserving himself for injury, which lasts until week 11, or he's back. What's the point in holding the Pittsburgh Steelers hostage every week? Explain to me that. What's the point? You're out till week 11. That makes sense. I mean, at least we can all get that. You're trying to stay as healthy as long as you can for your next contract. But why do the Steelers have to go in, week out, going, we don't know if he's on the depth chart come Thursday, Friday. He's not on the depth chart.
I think it's the only power play he has, right? It seems personal.
But what's the power play to accomplish what?
Creating chaos. There is really no point to it. This is the one power play that I have. I'm going to show you. You know what I mean? He's like sticking it to the man.
And that's my point. Chaos. Like, everywhere you look when it comes to the Steelers right now, their play on the field, Antonio Brown's behavior in the locker room and outside the locker room, Le'Veon Bell's choices and how they'd affect his teammates, and his teammates' response, I'm telling you this, Mike Tomlin he is a good coach. Mike Tomlin's a good coach, but he doesn't have control of what's going on there. And that's going to spin this thing out of control. That's going to take this thing into chaos. This Steelers project is going to go into a tailspin and fall apart because the players are not all on the same page and Mike Tomlin can't get them on the same page. I talk about the Chiefs and the Chargers and one day the Jets rising. It's because the Patriots, sun will finally set on them, and the Steelers never took advantage of their window. The Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Small business protection just got easier. With more than 30 coverage options available, Progressive has you covered. More at progressivecommercial.com. All right, coming up, are we all falling for Fitzmagic again, or haven't we learned? When Jameis comes back, don't you have to move to the franchise quarterback? That's next on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Guys, let's be real. When you look good, you feel good. At the JCPenney wardrobe sale, you can get 50% off select men's suits separate, sport coats, dress pants, and accessories. Plus, select dress shirts, buy one, get one free. Raise your game with Collection by Michael Strahan. All the right looks to take your style to the next level. Also, save an extra 20% off with your JCPenney credit card and coupon, or extra 15% off with any other method of payment. Hurry in. JCPenney. Style and value for all. Pricing and coupon valid 9/13 and 9/23. Credit offer subject to credit approval. Some exclusions and restrictions apply. See store at jcp.com for coupon and details.
One of the things you got to acknowledge, one of the things you try to tell yourself is, well, don't just go off last year. I mean, it can't just go with whoever's good is going to remain good. In fact, what you need to do is you need to flip the whole thing upside down, because the turnover on NFL playoff teams on a year-to-year basis is massive. I believe, I don't have it in front of me at this moment, but I believe it's something like 40-50% or more of playoff teams each year weren't in the playoffs the year before. So when you're looking at who's going to make the 2018 playoffs or who's going to play well, I got to be honest with you. As I looked at flipping it upside down and asking myself, who's going to be good? Though quite honestly, last year was bad. I never thought it would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I never thought it would be the Buccaneers led by Ryan Fitzpatrick. But here we are today, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-0, and they just took down the defending world champion Philadelphia Eagles. How long can Fitzmagic continue, and should the Buccaneers ride that hot hand over Jameis Winston? In just a moment here on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and SiriusXM Channel 80. But I have some breaking news for you here from Adam Schefter. There's that trade now agreed to in the NFL. The Patriots are sending Cleveland a 5th-round pick, and if Josh Gordon isn't active in 10 games, the Patriots get back a late-round pick from the Browns. Sources tell ESPN. I'm reading Adam Schefter's tweet here. It says, as Rap Sheet, that's Ian Rappaport, reported, Patriots were closing in on a trade for Gordon. Now the trade's official. Josh Gordon is a New England Patriot. So the cost is a 5th-round pick. But if he doesn't last 10 games, he isn't active for 10 games, they get back as compensation some kind of late-round pick. Let's call it a 6th or 7th. So they're basically risking a round or two to see if Josh Gordon can stay active for 10 games. It's not bad. It's not bad for a risk-reward. Would you be in on that? The 49ers were rumored to be in on this for Josh Gordon. The 49ers need weapons. Would you be in on that for the 49ers?
I mean, yeah, because the risk is gone, right? If he's not active, he's not a big part of their team, then they just get a pick of similar value back. There's no risk.
I would have been in on that for the Cowboys. Another team.
Would you have gone higher?
No. That's the funny thing. I mean, the offset is key, but a 5th is as high as you... If Josh Gordon is Josh Gordon, he's worth more than a 5th.
He's going to be awesome. Like, you just know this is going to happen.
You're saying that because it's the Patriots.
Is this Randy Moss 2.0? Like, this is going to happen.
Or is it Chad Johnson 2.0?
Oh, nice, Bubba. Here, watch this. If it had been the Cowboys that traded for him, would you say the same thing?
No, because
it's
not Brady.
What is that?
Well, I don't trust you guys. I trust the Patriots. How is that on me?
What does that have anything to do with? It has to do with Josh Gordon.
It's not something you're acting like it has something to do with me being biased towards anti-Cowboys.
It is, because this is an analysis of whether or not Josh Gordon is a good bet. You're making your judgment on who's the one placing the bet. You're not judging the bet. You're judging who's placing the bet.
There's two sides to this coin. And the Cowboys side, I don't trust. The Patriots side, I do trust.
It's the same bet either way.
No, it's not.
You just said Tom Brady and Dak are on the same level.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you kind of just did.
In no way did I say that.
Kind of did. And that the Dallas, the Cowboy organization is on the same level as the Patriots.
You shut your mouth and you come in here and open it and eat some gefilte fish.
Gefilte fish!
Come on. Now, you owe me gefilte fish eating.
Gefilte fish!
Get in here.
Nothing but sitting here and answering some calls.
It's apparently a gefilte fish drop that we have.
Gefilte fish!
Where did that come from?
Rush Hour 2?
Gefilte fish!
I've never... Nuno, you owe this. Real quick, let's move on to Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jameis Winston. But this is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Look, man, it's not just embarrassing for you. It's embarrassing for me. It's embarrassing for this show that somebody involved in this show would be so weak and be such a welcher on their bets. It's absolutely a sign. I can't have it, man. I'm telling you, I can't have it. Can't have this weakness in the show. We're going to have some Olympics. We're going to get Mikey C in here. We're going to do some kind of contest because this is not right. You want to take a vote really quickly? Should he have to eat the gefilte fish for the Giants losing? Let's start with Bubba.
He should do something. I
forgot Bubba's a softie on the eating stuff.
Yeah. Super soft.
The bottle should be open. Let's start with that.
Take a shot of the juice.
We should at least open it, start smelling it. Something should be going on.
All right, Cerruti?
Yeah, obviously.
Thank you, Cerruti. All right, Liam's in. Liam?
Sure, yep, got to do it.
Gotta do it. That's. Oh, I'm voting yes too. By the way, that's 3.5.
Gefilte fish!
You have to. The Giants lost. You have to. Right there, gefilte fish. That's floating hunks of compressed fish parts.
Gefilte fish!
Next segment. All right. Ryan Fitzpatrick's lighting it up. 2 games, 4 touchdown passes over 50 yards, 2 touchdown passes over 75 yards, and people are now saying, you got to ride this hot hand. In fact, the guy that's about to jump in here, Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN's NFL analyst, says you can't go back to Jameis.
When Dirk Cutter came into this season, Adam, how secure was his job?
Not very.
Okay, so he's got to win this year. He's going to lose his job, okay? Well, when you looked at the start of the season, you think you're playing maybe two of the 3 best teams in the NFC, and Ryan Fitzpatrick has come in there and lit 2 of them up to start the season. He's making that team better. That team is responding to him, and Fitz plays his best in this environment where he doesn't enter the season as a starter. He's kind of come in a little bit unassuming like he did with the Jets when Geno Smith was supposed to be the starter, and he can just come in and play. Just be kind of scrappy when he's running with the football and honestly distribute the ball the way he has to the talent they've assembled there in Tampa.
Now, the way Tim phrases that, the way he cages that question, the answer is going to be obvious. Stick with Ryan Fitzpatrick because Dirk Cutter's job has been on the line. He's been one of the coaches who have been fingered as on the hot seat. And for that matter, so is the GM for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But that's why ownership needs to step in. The truth of the matter is we know who Ryan Fitzpatrick is. Some decade plus into his career, we know who Ryan Fitzpatrick is. He's 177 touchdowns to 136 interceptions. He's playing lights out, but he will come to earth. The point is this. You got to be about more than just this season in Tampa Bay. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, by everybody's admission, is not your quarterback of the future. What you have to find out is whether or not Jameis Winston is. You're not going to find that out with him on the bench. You have to play Jameis Winston. The Bucs have already picked up his 5th-year option. They're scheduled to pay him $21 million next year. They don't have to. They could let him go. Or they could keep him and give him a big long-term contract as their franchise quarterback. But they got to figure out if the risk reward is there for Jameis. We all went into this season saying he's going to have to play lights out. Better than the above average he's been playing over the past couple of years. He's going to have to play lights out for them to give him that contract. You're not going to give him that opportunity or give yourself the information you need to know whether or not it's time to move on from Jameis Winston. The unknown. That's what the Bucs are debating. It's not Fitzpatrick versus Winston. It's Winston versus being back in the quarterback market. And they need to have as much information as possible to make the right decision there. Tweet the show through the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed at Will Cain Show. Nothing makes up for your football obsession like a fresh and beautiful bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, 1-800-Flowers is offering 36 autumn roses for $36. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. All right, so Tim Hasselbeck, let's bring him in here. Let's debate this Bucs decision between Fitzmagic and Jameis. Next on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Did you know ADT can design and install a smart home just for you? A new smart home at your service, customized for your lifestyle. ADT professionals can even show you how to use your new smart home features. Now, that's what I call warm-up service. It's all controlled from the ADT app or the sound of your voice and backed by 24/7 protection. Visit ADT.com/smart to learn more about how ADT can help keep your home safe and smart.
Manning clapping his hands, Barkley on his right. Time ran out, no flag, and he's sacked, and the ball is loose, and the Cowboys are on a fumble at the Giant 27-yard line, and it's Taco Charlton with the ball. Damian Wilson, who got in and got the sack and forced the fumble.
Tacos for everybody. Taco Mondays here on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and ESPN News. That call courtesy of 105.3 The Fan. The voice of Brad Sham, the voice of the Dallas Cowboys. But there's other news in the NFL besides the reemergence of the doomsday defense in Dallas. In order to work our way around the league, let's go to ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. What's up, Tim?
Hey, Will. What's going
on? What's going on is that Josh Gordon's a New England Patriot, man. What do you think about that? Does that change things in New England?
Yeah, I think it changed them significantly. I mean, look, Josh Gordon, when he's available, is amazing. I mean, he's a true number one wide receiver. The New England Patriots don't have their number one wide receiver right now because he's, currently serving a suspension. So I think when if he is available to play because he's, got his life in order and is healthy, and B, can kind of pick up the things there in New England, I mean, that's a really significant addition to that football team.
You say, I mean, I'm just listening to the tone, man. I mean, you almost laugh through that. I mean, what are you doing? You picturing Randy Moss and Tom Brady together again? Is that? I mean, when you say that,
yeah. I mean, that's like I don't think it's fair to Randy to compare, know, Josh Gordon to Randy, but yeah, you're talking about like a receiver that people believe has the kind of ability to be the very best receiver in the game. And so now, let's just say it's not Josh Gordon. Let's just pick a top flight wide receiver and put him with the Patriots and be like, okay, well, what does that do for New England? It's like, so whether it's Julio or AJ Green or DeAndre Hopkins or like name the receiver, that's a stud and go put him in New England. And you think, well, how much better does it make him? It's like, well, it makes him a lot better. And, I think that the big question here ends up being, is he available to play? And what I think is interesting on the trade, and the details that Adam Schefter had on it was that a conditional fifth-round pick, and he's got to be active for 10 games this year. So, the Patriots have already played 2, so you got 14 more games. He is dealing with a hamstring injury right now. I mean, there's a chance that Josh Gordon ends up being active for 9 games. I mean, we're not that far from only having 9 games left in the regular season. Mm-hmm. Active for 9 games, and the Patriots get him for nothing.
Right. ESPN NFL is Tim Hasselbeck here on the Will Cain Show. Yeah, the risk reward is pretty well evened out there for the Patriots. Let me go to this. I just played a piece of sound of you saying that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need to stick with the hot hand in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Don't go to him. Don't go to Jameis Winston when he comes back. I think I would disagree with you on that for this reason alone. They got to figure out what they have with Jameis. They know what they have in Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, he's got a decade's worth of evidence on who he is and what he's going to be over the long term. But they got to figure out if they're going to pay Jameis. And so whether or not it's an owner, I mean, Dirk Cutter's going to stick with Ryan. I think you're right because he's got to save his own job.
Well, so I don't mean to cut you off. I think I heard you. I heard your kind of take on what I was saying. Now, look, I was answering that question from the perspective of Dirk Cutter. Like that's really what I'm doing. Like, think about if you're the organization, yeah, you're 100% right, Will, from the organization's perspective. Like, I don't think anyone thought that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be winning the Super Bowl this year. But I'm talking about just from like the football perspective of the team this year with Dirk Cutter trying to figure out how he keeps his job, trying to figure out if Jameis Winston can play in the future for another head coach. It should not really be Dirk Cutter's responsibility. So if I were Dirk, I would fight against that.
Speaking of that, by the way, if they go to Jameis, it seems like they're having fun with Ryan. Like the whole Deshaun, I mean, it's a little thing, but wearing Deshaun Jackson's clothes and, you go back to Jameis and you're back to eating W's and stuff. I think the owner has to do what the owner has to do. But in the short term, it's not just that Ryan might play better than Jameis. If you make the switch, that team could really, mutiny.
Yeah, listen, sometimes you do. I mean, you look at, everyone knew who Case Keenum was. Well, the Vikings were a pretty stinking good team last year. I think that sometimes, when it's the right fit between play caller and guys on the team and camaraderie and kind of what you're dealing with, sometimes it just works and it clicks. And so, listen, you're right. It is little and silly and all that stuff, but you can't say that team isn't rallying around him right now. And in that sound that you played from NFL Live of me talking about him, it's this is also where Ryan's comfortable. He doesn't have to be the guy. People aren't expecting him to carry the team. He's no, he's just a fill-in guy that's going to come in and kind of be himself, and he's good like that.
Talking to ESPN's NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck here on the Will Cain Show. All right, man. I'm not breaking down tape. I don't see it the same way you do, but can I just tell you what I see and you tell me how far off or how accurate I am?
Okay.
Pat Mahomes looks amazing. Just ridiculous. I know everybody's seen him when you throw 10 touchdowns over 2 games, but Tim, to me, his command, his confidence, he never looks flustered. He looks like he's making pre and post snap reads, and then he's dropping passes 20 yards down the field to the tight end in the middle of the field or between the safety and the cornerback along the sideline that other quarterbacks throw at 6 or 7 yards. In other words, the ease with which they're delivering 7-yard slants, he's delivering these with seeming just absolute ease. He looks ridiculous.
Yeah, he looks really, really comfortable. And I think one of the ways that you can get a quarterback really, really comfortable is, not every play is, this mental challenge, or not every play is, has to be so complex. I mean, you just go back to week 1, the guy throws, 2 touchdown passes on the same play that traveled about 6 inches in the air, and so, we're talking about 10 touchdown passes. We need to also remember that, 2 of them were touch passes, where
not this week though, right?
No. But what happens is now all of a sudden the guy gets really comfortable. And then when you are asking him to do other stuff, and you're also asking the defense to defend all of that other stuff, now all of a sudden, let's just see the natural ability kind of take over. And so to your point on, kind of the ease of the throws, the first touchdown pass to Travis Kelce is really Tampa 2 coverage. Well, Tampa 2 coverage is designed to have the middle linebacker run so deep in the middle of the field to prevent you from throwing that seam, bend, by the tight end. It's designed to take that away. That's why Tampa 2 was invented, okay? Well, he threw that versus Tampa 2, and because he puts it on the back shoulder of Travis Kelce, it's not even a contested throw. So your eyes aren't lying to you when you see the ball come out of his hands and get to where it's going in a different manner than it does for most quarterbacks.
It's amazing, man. I don't know. I know it's early, but I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all in. All right, man. Thanks for jumping on. You're going to come back in studio, right?
Yeah, I will. I mean, when you're in town, I'll try to do that.
I'm here.
But by the way, Mahomes throwing it is like you playing water polo. People saw you play water polo, and they were like, yep. See,
they were like,
different.
This is just different. This is just natural.
It's different. It's totally different.
Kissed by God, some said, as I shot. Whatever that is going off his fingertips, that looks like Michelangelo art. That's what that is.
Totally different deal.
That one goal, Tim. That one goal at Santa Barbara. All right, man. Thanks. I'll see you. Do you know it's the one pool where you can touch, too? I wasn't touching, though. We were in the deep end. Coming up, did the Packers get robbed yesterday by a bad NFL rule? Next on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and on ESPN News. A little bit of breaking news here from Adam Schefter. The New England Patriots have traded for Cleveland Browns wide receiver Josh Gordon. Tom Brady has the deep threat, the weapon that he's been missing so far this season. And the risk reward for the New England Patriots is once again masterfully managed. The Patriots give up a 5th-round pick, but if Josh Gordon is not active for 10 games this season, they get back, the Patriots get back from the Browns, a late-round pick. And I ask you, go back on any team in the NFL, much less the ones that need weapons like the San Francisco 49ers or the Dallas Cowboys, the New England Patriots, and see where they spent those 5th-round picks in the past. See who they got. and see how many of those panned out. And measure that against how many games from Josh Gordon would you need to make it worthwhile. I can tell you as a Cowboy fan, I would have wanted the Cowboys in on this deal, and I would have even one-upped it. I would have given more than what the Patriots did because the reward side of Josh Gordon is out of sight. And even if it only pays off for a handful of games, it's worth it compared to what you normally get with a 5th-round pick. Golic and Wingo is on the road, presented by Progressive Insurance. Will be live Friday from Philadelphia for the Colts-Eagles game. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. I want to get to what went down in Green Bay yesterday. A late roughing the passer call on Clay Matthews extended a drive for the Minnesota Vikings. Ultimately, that game ended in a tie, and the refs were instrumental in engineering how that game went down. But first, let's go to our old friend from Atlanta, mysteriously a New York Giant fan, who guaranteed for me the Giants would win, who told me that he was going to take me out in these take streets. 6'1", 250, not built like a beer keg, but built like Triple H. Mike from Atlanta, you're on the Will Cain Show. I assume, Mike, you called in to apologize?
Will, how are you? How was your weekend? Did you have anything going on I don't know about? I didn't really get to catch up with you at all. No. I hope it was a good weekend.
You were pumping a little too much iron?
I wanted to just point out, if any ESPN radio execs are listening, the Will Cain Show featuring Mike from Atlanta has a nice ring to it. And since you're the lead host and your team won, I will let you go first, and then I will correct you after you're done.
Well, you're just going to sit here and I have 3 hours of takes. This is your moment in the sun. If you were here, here's how you earn your way onto this show, Mike. Let me tell you, it's not walking in here with your bad New York Giants takes, okay? It's not making bets and welching on them like my man Nuno over there, who's happy to make a bet that the Giants win. Yeah, no, the way you do it is you come in here and you eat this gefilte fish like a man. That's how you do it. The Giants lost. You lose, you pay.
Gefilte fish. I will come and eat the gefilte fish. I have no problem with that. Oy vey, I'll do that. I have no problem. Let me just point out for you a couple things based on our conversation last week and that game last night. Congratulations. Great Week 2 division win at home, but take away the Janoris Jenkins whiff on Austin, and Dak Prescott, your savior, threw for a whopping 96 yards and no touchdowns. If you can tell me with a straight face you think he's a top 20 quarterback, then I just know that you're having barbecues at Jerry Jones's house on the weekends, and you can't admit the shortcomings of your general manager / owner.
He's a top 20 quarterback. Is that face straight enough for you?
I will give you a list. I will give you a list on Instagram, on Twitter of the quarterbacks that are better than him.
You do
But
that.
let me point out one other thing for you, Will Cain. You made a comment last week in your very brilliant, snarky, slick lawyer tone, which I enjoy, by the way, about the Giants maybe finish 9-7.
Time out. Hold on, Mike. Hold on. You don't get to George Costanza this. You don't get to go back on a comment from a week ago and say what you wish you would have said. I saw you on Twitter. I saw you telling folks what you wished you would have said. You don't get to jerk store this. You don't call in and go, oh, yeah, the jerk store ran out of you. You're going to tell me that the Giants went 9-7 and won the Super Bowl. I know what you want to do here. That's not how this works.
I was going to point out that the Cowboys went 13-3 and closed down Texas Stadium. How?
What? They lost to the Packers.
Oh, all right. Listen, I don't want to bring up old stuff.
That's what you're doing. The Giants lost.
The Giants lost. Listen, your team won, but I'm telling you, Dak Prescott, I stand behind my take on Friday.
All right.
My not take. I stand behind it. Dak is still not a great quarterback. When Ezekiel Elliott runs for 80 yards, he looks great. And listen, the one thing I will give you,
lowering the bar here.
The Giants defense played decent, but we did not have a defensive end. Connor Barwin couldn't contain the edge. It was like there was a tracker that was pulling him inside to bite on every dive. And that's Ezekiel Elliott. That's what I was trying to point out to you. I know you're a professional prognosticator. I'm only semi-professional, but again, I was right on Friday. Without Ezekiel Elliott, Dak is average.
You were right on Friday as you told me the Giants would beat the Cowboys. I'll tell you what, you're better at this. Yeah, you're right. You're better at this than you're letting on. That's how you do it. You claim victory on something when you lost on the big one. All right, thanks for the call, Mike, as always. At least he's a man eating his gefilte fish, Nuno. At least he's willing to stand by his bet. We have 1 hour to go. You going to come in here and do this or not?
Gefilte fish.
You going to do this?
Stay tuned and we'll see.
All right.
Gefilte fish.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to come back. We're going to get into this Josh Gordon news to the Patriots. I'm going to tie up this Clay Matthews thing. I got to talk to you about this, the refs deciding games in the NFL. This call is ridiculous. The Vikings are good, but you didn't deserve this one. All that straight ahead on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio.
Thank you for listening to the Will Cain Podcast. You can listen to the Will Cain Show live weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. The Will Cain Podcast.
Guys, let's be real. When you look good, you feel good. At the JCPenney wardrobe sale, you can get 50% off select men's suits separate, sport coats, dress pants, and accessories. Plus, select dress shirts, buy one, get one free. Raise your game with Collection by Michael Strahan. All the right looks to take your style to the next level. Also, save an extra 20% off with your JCPenney credit card and coupon, or extra 15% off with any other method of payment. Hurry in. JCPenney. Style and value for all. Pricing and coupon valid 9/13 and 9/23. Credit offer subject to credit approval. Some exclusions and restrictions apply. See store jcp.com for coupon and details.
Support for the Will Cain Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying a home for a moment. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a lot of anxiety with folks. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about that. They're calling it the power buying process. Here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then, once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, they'll lock your rate for up to 90 days while you shop. Now, here's the best part. If rates go up, your rate stays the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. Either way, you win. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/will. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data records. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
This is the Will Cain Podcast on ESPN Radio.
Play fake to Elliott. Time deep. There's a shot and a man. At the 30, the 25, the 20, the 5. A right turn for Austin. Tavon Austin. Touchdown Cowboys. 64 yards for number 10.
How about them Cowboys? The Dallas Cowboys take down the New York Giants 20-13. It was a bigger butt whooping than the scoreboard suggests. It was probably more appropriately 30-3. If the game had gone down with all its T's crossed and I's dotted. But the way it stands, the Dallas Cowboys are now in first place in the NFC East. And the New York Giants, well, they are who we thought they were. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and on ESPN News. That call, by the way, is courtesy of 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, and it's the voice of America's team, Brad Sham. We'll be getting to exactly what went down between the Cowboys and Giants last night. Plus, I've seen the future in the AFC, and it lives in Kansas City. And when it comes to the quarterback decision in Tampa Bay, Ryan Fitzpatrick versus Jameis Winston, well, sometimes you got to take the bigger picture. Sometimes the owner has to step in, and you have to move to Jameis Winston. But we're going to start today with what went down in Cleveland. The breaking news is wide receiver Josh Gordon has been traded to the New England Patriots for a 5th-round pick, and if he's not active for 10 games, then the Patriots can recoup a late-round pick. It's a massive risk-reward analysis situation for the Patriots where, once again, they come out on top. And here is the Cleveland Browns head coach Hugh Jackson talking about the trade.
I think John got the best deal that he could get. He's gone now. We're going to move on and coach the team that's here and get ourselves ready to play this Thursday night.
With as many different teams in the NFL that needed a wide receiver, be it the San Francisco 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys, the Seattle Seahawks, New England Patriots, I wonder if this is the best deal they could get. A conditional 5th-round pick offset against whether or not he's active for 10 games. Let's hear from Hugh Jackson one more time. He said one more thing about this trade we have cut for you.
I can't worry about that. We have to do what we think is best for our organization, and our football team, and that's what we did. Josh is no longer here, so I don't even want to comment about what could be, what couldn't have been. He's on another team now.
That's Hugh Jackson addressing what it could mean for Josh Gordon to be in New England, what it could look like to have that connection between Tom Brady and Josh Gordon. But let's figure out how this all went down. What changed this week, by the way? Why all of a sudden, out of nowhere, after dealing with him for 5 years, his ups and downs, his trials and tribulations, what happened this week that made Josh Gordon available from the Cleveland Browns? Let's go to ESPN NFL Insider reporter Josina Anderson on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Josina, let's start with that. Why all of a sudden were the Browns done with Josh Gordon?
Well, there was, an incident that happened, with him as far as, coming to practice late and citing that he had an injury with the hamstring and all of those other things. But I talked to a source this morning, okay? And as I had been talking to people in the organization over the last couple of days, and one of the things I asked was, is this all to the story? Because I feel like, sorry, as you guys know, I'm at the airport, that's not definitely, it just seems like there's more to it. And the source said to me, no, that's not the whole story. But I'm obviously getting the sense that they didn't want to be extra detailed because obviously, Will, there's a transaction that's pending that they were trying to get done today. But I can tell you that other Brown sources said to me that he was not himself when he came back to the building, meaning like once he returned from being out from trying to take care of his business and getting his sobriety together, that he wasn't the same smiley-go-lucky person. Other people said to me that, would text me, there's something wrong with him. We feel like something is off. And there's another source that I talked to today around the situation who also indicated, look, obviously there are more things that the Browns are concerned about than just a hamstring, which I'm still trying to all the way nail down if that was all the way completely true. But nonetheless, today when I was talking to, Brown sources, it was indicated to me by different people that multiple teams were inquiring. We know about the Patriots. We know about the 49ers. We know about the Cowboys. I definitely know of a couple other AFC teams that also inquired as well. But obviously the Patriots were able to get done. And when you have that type of result, Will, against the Jaguars, Belichick is not messing around.
Talking to Josina Anderson here on the Will Cain Show. Josina is traveling. She was covering games this week, and she's in the airport right now, but she's giving us the latest on the Josh Gordon situation. He's now a New England Patriot. Josina, I can't help but follow my own curiosity from when I hear things that you say. I know you don't want to speculate, and I know there are things I imagine you can tell me and you can't. So I'm going to ask, and you do what you do, okay? It sounds like to me you're saying sources suggest there's something more than just a hamstring injury. It's connected somewhat perhaps to his substance abuse issues in the past. Here's what I'm curious about. Would they have to communicate that to whoever made a deal for him, in this case the Patriots? Wouldn't that be something you would want to know about going into the trade? In other words, are we the only people that are kept in the dark, or are other NFL teams kept in the dark?
Well, I definitely don't want to suggest that there was something definitive that happened in regards to his sobriety. What I think I can definitely indicate is that there's a loss of trust, tolerance, and patience, and that the hamstring thing is not the, whether that's all the way true or not, is definitely not the entire concern. I only talk to people that matter when it comes to finding out information. That's why I'm an insider. So if this person texts me the word no and said that's not the only thing, then that means that's not the only thing. And I imagine I will hear over the next couple of days the rest of, what was concerning and made this even more definitive for them. But to answer the other part of your question, Will, I feel like it is up to the team that is inquiring and ultimately making the transaction to do their entire due diligence on the player before they execute and finalize any transaction for a player. I had an AFC team today tell me that they would definitely not trade for Josh Gordon because they felt that the risk that they perceived on him was too great in order to do that. Now, if he became a street free agent, they would do that, but in this situation, they felt like they would not do that. And so, and then I had another NFC team tell me that they were definitely going to do their research and they were continuing, to answer questions, ask questions today. And then ultimately they felt like the situation was just too much where they couldn't get it done. And this is a team that definitely needed a wide receiver. So, like I said, it's ultimately on the team to get it done. I thought they were going to get it done. I can also tell you that I got a call today where, let's just say, there are people who are definitely really concerned about the welfare of Josh Gordon and making sure that he got on a team where he would be supported. Because there are teams out there, like I said, that haven't been mentioned out, right now as far as who called and inquired about the Browns. Right. And they were calling me to try to get the information because they wanted to pursue and make sure that those teams would be a good fit for Josh. And we'll ultimately see if the Patriots end up being able to support him internally with everything that he needs to make sure that he continues on the right path.
Well, it'll be fascinating.
Which is a big concern.
It'll be fascinating, as you said, in the coming days as you find out whether or not the Patriots took on historical risks or known specific present risks. I want to know if they know what went down in the past week. That'll be fascinating to find out. I got to run, Josina. I appreciate you jumping on from the airport and giving us the latest. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Take care. It's ESPN NFL Insider reporter Josina Anderson on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. All right, coming up, did the NFL cost the Packers a win yesterday? Did the refs, did the yellow flags, did the roughing the passer calls once again determine the outcome of a game? That's next on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Guys, let's be real. When you look good, you feel good. At the JCPenney wardrobe sale, you can get 50% off select men's suits separate, sport coats, dress pants, and accessories. Plus, select dress shirts, buy one, get one free. Raise your game with Collection by Michael Strahan. All the right looks to take your style to the next level. Also, save an extra 20% off with your JCPenney credit card and coupon or extra 15% off with any other method of payment. Hurry in. JCPenney. Style and value for all. Pricing and coupon valid 9/13 and 9/23. Credit offer subject to credit approval. Some exclusions and restrictions apply. See store at jcp.com for coupon and details.
Foul, roughing the passer, defense number 52. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Oh, folks, that is a crazy, awful call.
What do you want them to do? I really want to know, NFL. What the hell do you want them to do in that split second?
Well, no, I know what to say. It's just, I don't want to lose any more money. Maybe I'll go back, watch the film, see if there's anything I can change. But at the same time, I felt pretty good about that hit.
That call by the referees in the Green Bay Packers-Minnesota Vikings game this weekend saved the Vikings and Kirk Cousins' drive at the end of the game. It saved the outcome of that game for the Vikings as they tied the Packers 29-29, gave them a fresh set of downs and the ability to drive in for the tying touchdown and two-point conversion. The referees throwing a roughing the passer call on Packers linebacker Clay Matthews as he took down Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins. Now, this wasn't helmet to helmet. This wasn't driving or too much. I don't even know anymore what they say. Their language is too much body weight on the throwing your body into the ground. What they ended up saying was he lifted Cousins up and drove him down into the ground, which, by the way, he didn't. He ran through Cousins at the last minute, and they both went down to the ground. He didn't pile on him, by the way. He didn't lift him up. I mean, my God, they're parsing this so many different ways. No helmet to helmet. Can't go too high. Can't go too low. Can't have your body weight fall on him. Can't lower your helmet and use the crown of your helmet. Can't, lesson from this is, lift them up and tackle them to the ground. But seeing how that's not what Clay Matthews did, I guess you can't now, play through him, tackle through him. That's roughing the passer. It's absolutely and utterly confusing. Just ask Clay Matthews.
Well, no, I know what to say. It's just, I don't want to lose any more money. Maybe I'll go back, watch the film, see if there's anything I can change. But at the same time, I felt pretty good about that hit. It's just, you put in so much work and you hate for one play to, I take a lot of responsibility with the way in which I play the game. So, there's obviously not one play that defines a game, but at the same time, a little play. So I don't know. I don't know what to say, guys. I mean, it is what it is.
I really don't like coming in on Mondays and complaining about the refereeing. I don't like attributing the outcome of games to what the refs did, but that's a really bad call. That's a really bad call that doesn't put the defender in any position to win. He can't. The only thing he can do there, the only thing that's left for him to do is to stand in front of the quarterback and wave his hands and then gently lay him on the ground if he can possibly do that while the quarterback is still holding on to the ball. I don't know how Clay Matthews is supposed to change that play. And by the way, the NFL's doubled down on it. This is from ESPN Packers reporter Rob Demovsky. The NFL doubled down on Clay Matthews' much-debated roughing the passer penalty and said Monday that not only was it the correct call, but that it will be used on a teaching tape sent to teams. In all seriousness, what are they going to teach? Like, what is there to learn from that? If your lesson is you can't pick somebody up and drive them to the ground, and then you show them that tape, they're going to be like, well, but what does that mean? Because he didn't lift him up. He just tackled him to the ground. I don't know what you hope to teach from that call. Just bad. Again, determining the outcome of an NFL game. From now through September 25th, more than 100 Bristol-Myers Squibb employees are cycling across the country with the goal of raising $1 million for the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Help support the Coast to Coast Cancer Ride by visiting cancerbikeride.org. Scott from North Carolina, you're on the Will Cain Show.
Hey, Will, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Well, man, I just told Nuno I didn't want to beat a dead horse, but I've got to. And I don't know what you beat a dead horse with, but I guess we could use Vontae Smith's helmet since he won't need it anymore.
Vontae Davis, right?
Yeah, but what did I say, Smith? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Davis. So here's the thing. I've grown to like your show, but the Cowboys thing is just getting ridiculous, man. I mean, I love watching all you guys go back and forth, but the Cowboys, Will, please, can you just stop with the Cowboys stuff? It's getting ridiculous.
What do you want me to stop? What do you want me to stop?
I just want you to stop all of the Cowboys, hopes and dreams of making it even to a winning season. I mean, they're not going to the Super Bowl, just like Stephen A. Smith has said time and time and time again. They're not going to win a Super Bowl, but they'll win one game like they did last night and tell you that, they've already got their trip planned and they're going to win it. So that's all I wanted to say about that. I mean,
all I can say to you, Scott, is I'm just filled with gratitude today. I mean, you can be upset. I'm one of those people who wakes up every day just grateful. And here's the thing. I have gratitude for two things, specifically when it comes to you, Scott. I'm getting a little choked up about this, to be honest. I appreciate you as a listener and being a big fan of the show. And B, I appreciate you bringing up the Cowboys, because I was talking about the Packers and the Vikings, and now that you bring up the Cowboys, I got a few things to say here. Let me tell you something. That defense is out of sight. They put Eli on the ground 6 times. 6. Taco Charlton. DeMarcus Lawrence might be from another planet. He is amazing. And they did this without Malik Collins, David Irving, Datone Jones, because Malik Collins, but that was the end of the game, he got hurt. David Irving, Datone Jones, Xavier Woods, and yes, of course, Randy Gregory. If they'd had Randy Gregory and David Irving, I think Eli Manning might not have gone home. Like, he would have just retired to Dallas. Let's just stay here. He's going to live at that stadium on that turf where they planted him so many times with that funny look on his face. Number 2, that offense. Now, I came into work today, and do you know the first thing? This is how petty they are. This is how petty and ugly and little that Nuno and Cerruti are. I swear to God, I walked in today, and before they even said, nice win, be a fun show, this is what they said. Your team stinks, Will. They both. I swear to God, that's the first thing they said. I come in with a W, Bubba, hand to God. Hand to God. First thing they said, both of them. Your team's really bad. Dak's terrible.
Oh, I believe it.
In my defense,
terrible.
And Nuno could back me up on this. Before you even got here this morning, I walked into the studio and said to Nuno, your Giants suck. And he's like, yeah, they do.
Well, so what are you telling us? You just went around to everybody telling them how bad their teams are?
I think both teams are pretty bad. Not bad. I think the Giants are really bad. I think you guys are pretty average. And I think Dak, I don't know how you have any confidence after that game.
I'm not sitting here today telling you Dak is better than Carson Wentz.
Okay, good. Well, so finally we're there. Okay, good.
Hold on. Right now. I'm not sitting here telling you today that Dak's a top 10 quarterback. Okay? What I am telling you is Dak can play at a very high level and has in the past. And what I saw last night showed that the Cowboys might get some ideas about how to put him in a position to succeed. running those zone reads where Dak runs is going to open things up, not just for him, but for Zeke Elliott. And be a little creative, like they were in the first 15 plays. Oh, you see that, how Linehan just settled right back into the boring old stuff right after the first 15 scripted plays. He can deliver it. He missed Rico Gathers, by the way, on a wide-open touchdown at one point. But what I saw yesterday, bottom line, when it comes to the offense, I saw hope. And when it comes to the defense, I saw domination.
Right.
And I'm going to see that in the end, when this whole thing is said and done, I'm going to be the one, with Bubba, with the last laugh. Yeah. Playoffs, baby. Playoffs. Coming up, haven't we learned that Fitzmagic is a mirage? That's next in the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Did you know ADT can design and install a smart home just for you? A new smart home at your service, customized for your lifestyle. ADT professionals can even show you how to use your new smart home features. Now, that's what I call warm-up service. It's all controlled from the ADT app or the sound of your voice and backed by 24/7 protection. Visit ADT.com/smart to learn more about how ADT can help keep your home safe and smart.
If you believe it all in the hot hand theory, well, Ryan Fitzpatrick is the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he should be for the foreseeable future. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and on ESPN News. But me, I'm a believer in the hot hand theory. Only so long as it's so hot, it's scalding, and you can't deny it. In other words, if I'm the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I stick with Ryan Fitzpatrick until he cools down in the slightest bit. And then, even though it's not fair, and even though it may be just one game or two games, even though he just comes back to earth, just to average, just to who he's been over the last decade of his career, you got to move back to Jameis Winston. And here's why. It's not about winning games this year. It's not about winning week 7. It's not about winning week 8. It's not about Ryan Fitzpatrick, that no one believes is the quarterback of the future for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's about finding out if you have that quarterback of the future. It's about finding out whether or not Jameis Winston is the guy going into next year when the Bucs have a fifth year, $21 million option on Jameis Winston. Or maybe beyond that, giving him a big contract. And you can't make that decision without a full body of evidence, without him on the playing field. But obviously, when it comes to the now, the hot hand belongs to Ryan Fitzpatrick. And Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFLNS, was on our show a little bit earlier. And he said, for the here and now, for Dirk Cutter, the answer is easy. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
From the organization's perspective, I don't think anyone thought that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be winning the Super Bowl this year. But I'm talking about just from the football perspective of the team this year with Dirk Cutter trying to figure out how he keeps his job, trying to figure out if Jameis Winston can play in the future for another head coach should not really be Dirk Cutter's responsibility. So if I were Dirk, I would fight against that.
And that's fine, but that's why an owner should step in and look at the long-term future of that franchise. Because it isn't Ryan Fitzpatrick. Carlton from Tampa, you're on the Will Cain Show.
Hey, it's time for the Carlton 2 Minutes of Sanity on the fake sports news Will Cain Show. First off, Fitz is 35. He's not 37, as you said earlier. Of course, Aaron Rodgers is 34. Rivers is 36.
Hold on.
So
what are you doing with that? I mean, besides correcting the record, are you calling to tell me, Carlton, that Ryan Fitzpatrick has found himself at 35, that he's become somebody who he's not been over the last decade of his career?
He's a whole lot better than you think he is. He took the 4-12 Jets to 10-6 the year after he joined him. He took the 2-14 Texans to 9-7 the year after he joined him. He has the hardest 3-game start in the entire Super Bowl history of the NFL. 53 years based on the 3 teams' prior years ending record. The hardest ever. He was expected by everybody, including ESPN's Jenna Lane, who covers the Bucs, to go 0-3 to start the season. He has a 151 passer rating, a 79% completion rate, 2 games of 400-plus yards with 4 TDs in each one, something no other quarterback has ever done in the history of the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, in 9-plus seasons, has a total of 4 400-yard passing games. Tom Brady has never had more than 2 400-yard passing games in an entire season, and he's never had 2 with 4 TDs and 400 yards.
He's great. He's playing great right now. I checked myself.
He's
I didn't say he's
playing
great.
the
He's
best
playing great.
anyone has ever seen.
Okay,
ever.
but Carlton, is he the future of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Easy question. Is he the future?
Ryan Fitzpatrick is 4-1 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jameis Winston was 3-10.
Is he the
last
future
year,
of the?
Will Cain.
But seriously, Carlton, is he the future of the Bucs?
Yes. If they give him rain to show what he can do with those weapons, he is. And when you say the future, for the next 4 or 5 years, not for 10. He's not going to play when he's 43, but for the next 3-4 years, yes.
So Carlton, you're ready. And I, by the way, just out of curiosity, how'd you become such a big Fitzpatrick guy? You're an anti-Belichick guy and a pro-Fitzpatrick guy. Where do you get that from? Like, did you go to Harvard?
I followed him in college. Yes, I did.
Did you go to Harvard, Carlton?
Yes, I did.
Look at you, Carlton. That's not good for the brand. That's like you. I didn't. That's why you've been holding that back on me, isn't it? You didn't.
Yeah, all you guys prejudiced against
No. What we
guys.
found out is you're elitist. You're a Northeastern snowflake elitist, Carlton. That's what we found out.
He was Division II, Will Cain. He's one of the few quarterbacks. Flacco's Division II. He's Division II. But very few guys that were Division II, or now it's FCS, I guess, have ever played in the NFL, let alone are their starting quarterback.
Yeah,
so
but you were acting like you went to Tarleton
underdog.
State. You called in here and you acted like you went to Tarleton State, and now it turns out you're Harvard. That's a whole new Carlton I got to wrap my brain around. Listen, Carlton, serious though, back to Fitzpatrick. 4 to 5 years, you're ready to bank the Bucs' future on a guy. And Carlton, I'm not going to debate with you the here and now. I'm not going to debate with you the way he's been over the last 2 games. But I do have a decade's worth of evidence. And he's 177 touchdowns and 136 interceptions. It's just not a mystery. We know who he is.
You guys just don't get it. Do you know,
Why do you
he
keep
had
saying
no
you guys?
weapons on the Buffalo Bills. Stevie Johnson was his only guy to throw to. You guys always look at the quarterbacks.
Why do you keep saying you guys? You're talking to me. You're not
I'm talking about ESPN or, Fox Sports commentators or analysts. You guys always attribute everything that goes on a team to the quarterback, good or bad. And so the fact that he didn't have success in Buffalo and he didn't have major success with the Titans, you say that's on him. If you have nobody to throw to and your offensive line is getting you sacked every other play, you got to analyze more than just what a quarterback did. And that's why I said at the start of the season to Stephen A., the Friday before, he was going to light it up with the Bucs. Light it up.
But
and
Carlton,
he has.
we're not doing a knee-jerk reaction here. We're not rushing to judgment. We're not judging.
You are. Your knee-jerk reaction is he sucks. That's your knee-jerk reaction.
No, it isn't. No, you're being sensitive and you're hearing things. My take is he's average, and he has been for a decade. And he's played on 7 teams, and he's played on played behind 7 different offensive lines with 7 different groups of weapons. He's played for over 10 years, and no one's knee-jerk reaction here. I'm not rushing judgment. I know who he is. I don't know who Jameis is, and that's the point. I don't know who Jameis is, and you got to make a $50 million plus decision on Jameis, and that's why you need the evidence. You don't need any evidence on Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know who he is.
He got very little to no playing time with the Rams and the Bengals, so X out those 2 out of here. And he got little time with the Titans, too, because they were all in Jake Locker when he was there, the 1 year he was there, okay? As I said, he turned around 2 awful teams, the Jets and the Texans. And what you don't realize about Winston is, first off, he's got all of his off-the-field problems, but he fumbled 14 times last year. He not only had 11 picks, but he fumbled. He doesn't take care of the ball.
You're taking this as I'm making a pro-Winston argument. I'm not. I'm making
said the minute
I'm making a pro-evidence, figure out what you have argument. I don't need it with Fitzpatrick. Hell, Fitzpatrick doesn't need it. Reports are he said I don't need any snaps in the preseason. I know how I got it. I don't need any more snaps. Everybody knows who Fitzpatrick is, including him.
Fake news.
I got to go, man.
Fake news that he doesn't need snaps in the preseason. He's one of the hardest working guys you'll ever find. More fake news.
That's fake news?
Yeah, that he didn't need snaps in the preseason.
Where did I hear that? I heard that on Golic and Wingo this morning. Is that where?
Yeah, probably more anti. Jeff Saturday Hannity's anti-Fitzpatrick. Damian Woody's anti-Fitzpatrick. They're all anti-Fitzpatrick.
Harvard guy. Harvard.
They're all anti-Fitzpatrick. You guys discriminate. I'm gonna file a discrimination suit against the whole lot of you.
It's that discrimination against those Harvard elites. That's what it is.
Well, unfortunately, Max, who went to Columbia, is denigrating every Ivy League player out there. Because today,
I gotta go, man. Now I get the Max thing.
The thing he ever said is that it's hilarious that Vontae Davis left his team at halftime.
Oh, he said that? I'll have to go back and watch that. Oh,
yeah, I bet it's hilarious. He thought it was funny that Vontae Davis let
I got to talk about that. In fact, I'm going to talk about that next. Now I know, though, it's you and Max's Harvard-Columbia rivalry. That's what's going on here. I got to go, Carlson. Thanks for the call, as always. The Will Cain Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. Remember, you can listen to all 3 hours of the show on your phone, on your ESPN app. Let's talk about Vontae Davis walking away from his team. Let's talk about that next on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
This is Will Cain.
I am a big fan of your show. You make my head want to explode like 4 times an hour. You have bowling balls, okay? What I want you to understand is there any point in time that you might back down a little bit and give up a little bit of your whiteness?
It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, ESPN News, where you can watch us talk. This past weekend, my Texas Longhorns were in the zone. Saturday night, beating USC. In the Zone is brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. You know, I went to law school at the University of Texas. That's why I claim the Longhorns. But I went to undergrad at Pepperdine University in Southern California. And the day I left Southern California, that song that Bubba just played, L.A. Freeway by Jerry Jeff Walker, was blaring as I headed back east, back home to Texas. If you can just get off of that L.A. Freeway. Good times, good memories. Headed back to the Lone Star State.
Wait, you literally put that song on like as you were leaving?
Absolutely. Yes.
I don't know if I hate that or respect it.
You hate it. I can tell.
No, I'm legitimately debating it. I don't know if it's cool
like I
or
gave
if it's
myself
lame.
a theme song?
Yeah, it's kind of like you actively were like, I need a theme song on my way out of L.A. That's it.
Yeah. L.A. Freeway, Jerry Jeff
I'm
Walker.
a very big song mood guy, so I that's why I'm not writing it off completely. I just have to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you can marry a song to a moment, boom, right there.
I mean, did you start to drive away and then be like, wait, forgot the song?
Well, it's a long
Pull
drive.
over.
It's a long drive, so then you have to ask yourself, when exactly do you hit play?
That's a good point.
Like
too.
with L.A. in your rearview mirror, or like...
Yeah, because you don't want to still be like circling the parking garage.
LA's a big city.
And then song's over.
Right. You hit that a little early and you're just in Riverside. You know, LA's a big city.
That's
you gotta...
a tough call.
Yeah.
That's tough.
So you hit it on loop. Back then it was a CD changer. Just repeat. Yep. All right. I'm a little surprised at this going on in sports media. Carlton from Tampa was just on the Will Cain Show, and he talked about this. He was a Colt at one time. Buffalo Bills cornerback, Vontae Davis, quit. Apparently retired at halftime of the Buffalo Bills Los Angeles Chargers game. He didn't get much notice, didn't say what was going on. I guess he just said, peace, I'm out. Here's his teammate, Lorenzo Alexander, describing what went down.
Have you seen anything like that in your NFL
Never
career?
have seen it ever. Pop Warner, high school, college, pros, never heard of it, never seen it. And it's just completely disrespectful to his teammates.
Did he say anything to you as a veteran?
Did he say anybody to
He didn't say nothing to nobody.
He left? When did you find out?
You know as much as I know. I found out going in the second half of the game. Coming out, they said he's not coming out, he retired. So.
What?
Yep. That's it. So, who said what?
Did Sean say that?
On the sideline. I mean, guys heard about it and said that he wasn't coming back out.
It's crazy, man. And you know what is crazier? I feel like much of the analysis of this, maybe on social media, maybe on websites, and even on some of the airwaves, has been LOL. No big deal. Funny. And I don't know, why is that? Like, how is this LOL? How is walking out on your teammates? How is letting go of your duty mid-fight? You have a job to do, which you're being paid handsomely for. How is walking out on it peace? How is that LOL? How is that funny? Now, I think that's driven by two things. Number one, I think half of it is because people just have some kind of, at this point, antagonism towards football. Vontae Davis and others have pointed out there's danger to the game of football, no longer going to put up with the risks, the health risks. So who are we to say he shouldn't walk away whenever he wants? So it's a general war. Honestly, it's just a general war on football. I hate football, and here's somebody walking away mid-game. Love it. I feel like that's what I'm hearing. The other half is what all of us have inside of us, that take this job and shove it mentality. Everybody has a job at some point they hate and would love nothing more than just say, I'm out, take this job and shove it, Johnny Paycheck. The difference is this: you're making millions of dollars to play a game that literally thousands of others would love to trade places with you. But more than that, to me, the reason it's not an LOL take, it's not even just, oh, that's funny, it's because the man has responsibilities. Everybody has responsibilities in life. Fulfill it. That's what being a man is. Do your job. Do your duty. See the game out. Not everybody's LOLing at this. Here's Damian Woody, ESPN NFL analyst.
As a player, there's nothing funny about this. Honestly, I'm sitting here right now, and my blood is boiling right now. Like, I would literally want to fight this cat. Because here's the problem I have. You've known for a while now that you've been contemplating this. So you should have taken your behind to the coach and be like, you know what? I'm done. But you're going to wait until game day, where we're all depending on the next man. You're only as good as the next guy that you're playing with. And then you're going to pull a punk move and walk out basically while nobody's watching, nobody can see you, and just take your stuff and run? What kind of punk does stuff like that?
That's good. Damian's going to fight him. Where'd Damian do that? Where was that?
Either Get Up or First Take.
I wouldn't know. I've been banned from First Take.
Well, no, they got the win.
I know. Ban lifted. Cowboys beat the Giants. Shortest ban in the history of bans.
Well, you're on the next day after the ban was.
Tomorrow?
No, you were on that next day after the ban was put in
place.
Oh,
that's true. That's the shortest ban. I was literally on the next segment, actually, after the ban. We'll be back for one more segment. Spain and Fitz next.
Go field the fish!
Thank you for listening to the Will Cain Podcast. You can listen to the Will Cain Show live weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. The Will Cain Podcast.
Guys, let's be real. When you look good, you feel good. At the JCPenney wardrobe sale, you can get 50% off select men's suits, separates, sport coats, dress pants, and accessories.